Be like Berl. Be the good in the world. Be like Berl.
Hey everybody, welcome to our Be Like Berl Podcast, where we interview teens and young adults about a tragedy, trial, or tribulation they dealt with as a child or a young person, and Jesus brought them through it by using folks in their lives who are being like Berl. Today's guest is here, and we've got a good one for you. But before I hand it over to Rachel, remember to like, subscribe, comment, and share. Rachel?
All right, today we have my cousin Christy and her son Cole here with us today, and we're not going to be emotional during this episode, so in case anybody's wondering, me and Christy are criers. But so just to start out with, Cole, tell us why you and your mama are here on the podcast today.
She made me.
I have never been able to make him do anything in his entire life.
Which is why we're here.
No, just share some awareness about some things, and maybe, it's about recovery. So my recovery looks probably a lot different than a lot of people's. I'll go out on a limb and say it's not your typical recovery, just because I do what I want. But, so yeah, I mean, just everybody's recovery looks different, and if it's yours is not going how everybody else's is, that doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. So
how long have you been in recovery now?
Going on 3 years.
Oh, good job. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. Time has really passed.
It has.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Glad it has for y'all.
So how old were you when you first started dabbling in the drugs?
Around 15.
Okay. And
it was a pretty good year. I tried a lot of things that year.
It doesn't mean it was good. So tell me, who got you started on that?
No, nobody got me started. I got me started.
Okay.
Nobody started me on anything. I want to make a lot of things very clear. Everything I done was my fault, my doing, my choice.
Good.
Nobody else's. Not my trauma, I was the one who made those decisions 100%, and I stand on those decisions. Wouldn't change none of them. They made me who I am today. A lot of rough stuff, a lot of fun too, but nobody got me started. I got me started.
And I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with saying, right? Taking that kind of attitude about it and that kind of accountability.
I've seen a lot of addicts struggle with being able to say, it's my fault. A lot of them will say, oh, well, Mommy and Daddy did this, so this is how I coped. And that may be true for them, but that's not true for me. Okay. At all.
What was going on in your life at that time at 15?
So I was in a place I didn't want to really be at, mainly just because I was too immature to see why I was there. I was threw into a culture shock at that time.
Is that about the time y'all moved to Nashville?
It was about the time we was in high school and moved to Nashville. I was still fighting it tooth and nail every step of the way. But yeah, that's probably about really all that was really going on that I knew about. There was some other stuff probably going on behind the scenes that I didn't, that found out later. But and a lot of it, like, again, it was just young, tried new things.
What do you mind sharing what you started with?
I still don't consider weed really a drug, but I mean, that was kind of the first. I guess you could say alcohol. Alcohol was probably first, out of everything. But that was definitely a weekend thing. That turned up more when I got to be about 17. Probably was when the alcohol was real bad. But then we moved on to marijuana, and then into cocaine, and then we went on into meth.
So there was like a progression then, for sure.
it was really just whatever was around. Just, okay, so you want to try this? Yeah, sure. Why
And so
not?
the people around, like you had friends that were, okay.
Yeah, definitely. That's just, I kind of hung out with everybody, so I would hang out with the people who didn't, but then I would hang out with the people who would do those things, and
So it was easy to get your hands on.
oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. I had no problem finding anything I wanted whenever I wanted it.
I think that's something that the parents maybe need to realize is like it is so easy to get a hold of. Like,
Yeah. No, it's not like the old DARE program where there's going to be people walk up to you and be like, "Hey kids, do you want to try some free drugs?" That's not going to happen now. And you may be in a setting with a bunch of people who are already doing that thing, and they may offer it to you. And a lot of times they'll even warn you, "Hey, look, if you've never done this before, don't do it now."
And I don't think, and nobody sets out and says, "Hey, I'm going to try this because I want to become a drug addict."
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, it never.
Were you just were you too young and immature to realize that was a possibility, or did you just not care about yourself enough?
Just didn't care. I didn't care about nothing for a long time. Just didn't faze me enough to about the only thing I cared about was her, and some people in my family. But like as far as caring about myself now, not saying I was like looking or wanting to die. I just was,
Right.
It was whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I'm gonna have a good time while I'm here. I ain't
Right.
here for a long time. I'm here for a good time.
Right.
That was my motto. Like, I don't care.
I think, too, like he probably thinks I didn't know about a lot of things. And I don't think I knew at that time the full extent. But I was aware, and I thought, it's a phase. He's just trying new things. I didn't realize the depth that it went. I don't know, even if I did, anything I could have done would have changed anything.
Yeah.
But, like I beat myself up over that for a while.
But he's already said he did what he wanted to do.
He did, and I knew I knew at some point with your kids, telling them no is going to make them want that even more, try even harder, which is 100% his personality, has been since birth. And so I thought, just let him get it out of his system a little bit, not being educated on, the fact that even though he did what he wants, like he was genetically susceptible to it hereditarily, like I didn't know those things at that time.
Right.
Let me ask, why hereditary? Why do you say that?
So there's a history really kind of on both sides of substance abuse and alcoholism and stuff on both sides, but primarily on his dad's side, there's a lot of generational alcoholism, substance abuse disorder on his dad's side.
And so we know now, looking back, that is a genetic disposition.
Yes, whereas I might try something and I'm like, oh, well, he might try something and it's like, woohoo.
But do you agree with that?
Nope.
You don't agree with it?
Not at all. I think that, and I'm going to probably get a lot of kickback and hate on this. I think, not saying that there's not something wrong up here, but I think calling addiction and everything a disease is nothing but a crutch. Especially with people who are trying to find a way to not blame themselves for what they're doing, to take responsibility. Oh, well, I'm sick.
Cole, I want you to know right now that just hearing you say that,
Here we go.
because but
Where's my 20 at?
but 10 years ago,
I would have told you the same thing.
but 10 years ago you just so didn't care about anything, but just seeing you now, like, on this side of it is just such a miracle.
Yeah, I'm in debt to the bank. I got to have good credit.
I didn't think we would see this side of it. I thought we would be having conversations with Cole either at a headstone, for sure,
Or in a prison cell.
or through a glass.
So I do want to get further, just because this is all part. This affected so many lives, right? But you had talked a little bit a minute ago about his dad, right? You and his dad, of course. When did y'all get divorced?
Cole was probably like 6 when we divorced, but we tried for years to like get back together. We were kind of off and on and stuff, and a lot of, I mean, the full reason for that divorce was substance abuse. And we're not here to beat up on Dad because he is doing phenomenal.
He's
right
another
now.
miracle.
Yes.
Yeah, like he's going to be like.
Well, and I know I think Randall deserves his praise. So let's do that right now.
Yes.
So just talk a little bit about Randall.
Well, now I am going to cry.
Hey.
You know, he is the man that I think we all probably that knew him to be right now, the best version of himself. I think he would tell you that this, you know, where he is, because he's currently serving a sentence right now for drug-related stuff, and but he's healthier than he's ever been. He's more mentally clear than he's ever been. And it saved his life, and he would tell you that's what saved his life, because he was on a path of self-destruction, trying to just take himself out. He was so miserable with life and where he is. And not that he's happy about where he is now, but he's doing super well. So it took a lot of hard co-parenting and, you know, stuff for us to get to a place but where we are now. But, you know, I admire him in so many ways. And he's being the dad now that Cole deserved, you know, for a long time.
Cole, do you hear from your dad often now?
Every Friday at least.
So, is this something that you and your dad, your drug use, is this something you and your dad shared in?
Yes, we did. We did do drugs together. Not at first. He was more resistant to it than I was. There was a situation where he's probably the person I lied to the most about my drug use. At first, she come out and said, "I want honesty," and then I think regretted that decision because she got it. But you know, me and him would sit there both high and try to fake sleep in a recliner with both of our feet just going a mile a minute because we both can't sleep. But you know, we are asleep because neither one of us are doing drugs. We were both. The whole world was spinning.
So he tried to hide his from you, and you tried to hide yours from him.
Yeah, and we were living in the same house.
Well, and I will say it's if anybody ever meets Randall Tennant, then you've met Cole Tennant, except older. I mean, these guys are the crazy thing about watching Cole grow up was how much he was like his dad, and it's interesting the relationship that you two have is because you're so close and so much alike, and then all the way down to the drug use, you know, and the substance abuse, and y'all were both
in the recovery though,
right? Mm-hmm. But you both cared about each other so much, you're still trying to lie to each other about it because you didn't want each other to know that. Y'all's relationship is actually, I mean, it's even though it was not in a good place, it was still a strong relationship, bound in love for each other.
There were several times where me and my dad ended up locked shirt to shirt, hands on each other, fixing to go blows, and somebody tried to step in, and you would watch both of us turn on that one person because this is between me and him. We're not going to hurt each other that bad.
Right.
But, you know, you want to say something, it's going to go differently. So, like, you know, people around us learned definitely, oh, okay, Cole and Rojo are fighting, let's go outside. Because it wasn't going to be pretty, but, you know, it was just, we would fight amongst each other, but there was nobody else going to mess with the other one.
Right.
And this was after high school graduation, right? That's when, like, things had escalated to the point that I was like, I love you, but if you're going to do that, you can't be in this house.
So let's back up just a little bit then. So that 15, So then he graduated high school at 18.
We were 17 or 18, something like that.
I was high. I don't know.
He was, his high school graduation, he was high as a kite.
So, and you knew that, right? Yeah. And and you could just see it, like you just knew him well enough that you could see this, right?
Yep.
At that time, at that age, do you what was your thoughts on your mom knew, but you didn't? Did you know that she knew at that point?
I didn't know she knew, but we never really talked about it.
Would you have cared if she did know at that point?
Probably not. I mean, like I said, it wasn't like I hid it.
Right.
I mean, I didn't openly do it in front of her, but well, actually, on my graduation, I grabbed a cup of codeine from friends out of the stands as I walked off the stage and was drinking it on the way back to my seat. So I did it in front of God and everybody. I didn't care who knew. I was going to be who I was going to be, and there was nobody going to stop that.
Was that because you thought it was just the cool thing to do, or you were getting laughs, or like what?
Just what I wanted to do. Even then, even now, what people think of me doesn't matter. All that matters to me really is what I think of me. And that holds true today. So as long as I was happy with what I was doing, everybody else could screw off.
So
what was...
we will say that there may be a time or two in this podcast that we have to bleep something out. That's okay. He's still a work in progress.
So what was so intriguing about it? Was it just the way that it made you feel?
The lifestyle.
That's right. We talked about this before. You were addicted more to the lifestyle, the fast. The
drugs were great, but money, women, power.
Everybody needing you.
You feel like when you get to a point, you get to a point where you, in that world, are somebody. Everybody knows you. It's kind of like being famous. Everybody knows your name.
Including the police.
They knew me on a first name basis.
So is that when did you start from? Is that when you started going to? Was you dealing then?
I was dealing in high school.
All right. So at a point you went from user to dealer
very quickly,
and then the dealer portion is what you're referring to now. That's when you started gaining quote unquote friends.
Notoriety.
Yeah.
And that even fueled you even more then, right?
Mm-hmm. And honestly, everybody knew my dad, so my notoriety came up quick because they knew him. They knew him. Some of the people that I was hanging around with, I had met before and had no idea what they were doing and what they were into, and had hung out with these people and would have never known. Then afterwards, once I started doing, they're like, people be like, hey, so-and-so, let's go over there. Well, now I show up and I'm like, what are you doing here?
When did you know?
High school. I didn't know the extent, but I knew in high school.
Did you catch him with anything, or was it just an attitude or a personality trait change? What was it that led you to believe it?
The school snitched on me.
I knew before then. But then it was just kind of like, but you don't want to know. So you're like, well, no, it's not this, it's not that. And then the school snitched and it's one of those things where it's like, it's so hard to believe and it's happening right under you, but you're like, I can't. Yeah. Well, and we did talk about it. Like I sit him down and I'm like, what are you doing with your life? Like, this is not the way to go. And of course he's like, oh, it's not that bad. And, you want to believe, that it's not that bad and it's just a phase. And, now I won't do it again. I don't remember if you remember that at the kitchen table. One day I caught you with something, and then you lied or something, and I caught you in it. I don't remember exactly what it was, but we sit down and I'm like, just that was one of the truth conversations. I'm like, whatever you're doing, do you have enough respect for me to tell me the truth? Period. The end.
Right.
I'm going to ask a question, and it's going to be a tough one. Was there a point where you went, I don't want to do this again? I dealt with his dad, and I don't want this to happen again.
There was a point, not of I don't want to do this again, is I hope I do this better. Because I just wanted to run when it was Randall, because I wanted to try to protect Cole and myself from that life. And I think by running, I put him right in the lap of it, just to be honest. And I regret that every single day.
Well,
But he's already said that
right.
it was
it was him.
I mean, but I think some of the changes, the culture shock, the different things, like the me running,
Didn't help any.
It didn't help. It didn't help. But you do the best you can with what you have at the moment and the knowledge that you have.
So real quick, just a side note. Was there Jesus in the home at this time?
No. But he came in real quick, hot, fast, on 2 wheels.
So, Cole, what did you have anything in when you were younger that made you happy and feel the way you felt other than drugs? I mean, was there anything that you did that, just made you happy and feel at peace?
I like working on cars and stuff.
But you just loved the fast life.
Yeah.
So 18 years old, you graduate high school, mom says, I can't do this anymore, or you can't do this here, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we know from, the Boundaries book and church and things like that is the boundaries are so important, right?
They are.
So do you want to talk a little bit on boundaries, since this is kind of the segue to where he was not under your roof anymore?
Yeah, we can. So, I mean, it went on. It wasn't just like right out of high school. He did try to go to on to like vocational school, but he was just trying to live this double life, and I could see it. And honestly, that hurt me, even though I knew the double life he was living, because I knew what he was doing. He was trying to do for me. But I was just tired of like him living that way and the double things he was doing. I felt, this isn't healthy. And then we work hard for our house, and I don't know what's here. I don't know what's in my car. I don't know, so we had this conversation of, you've got to make a choice. You can't live this double life anymore. You have to make a choice. I love you. And you are welcome always in this home, but you have to be straight when you're here, or you have to go. And he left about 2:00 that morning, and I laid in the floor for 2 days.
I know your love for your son, and I can't fathom just the moment where you told him that he's got to make that decision, because you knew how he is. You knew more than likely he's going to go the other route because he's stubborn. He's just, it's just the way he is, right?
Yeah, I mean, I should have just opened the door and gave him his lunch and helped him out. I knew what was I knew
you
what
knew
that
what
conversation was going to be.
But to still be able to, that says a lot about your strength. And you might not think about it now, and even then at that moment, but the strength and the courage to still try to direct him and to rock him into, this is how serious it is I've got to tell you, you've got to make a decision, knowing that more than likely he was going to say that. So that's very strong and courageous. And of course he did do the stubborn thing, and he was gone.
Mm-hmm. Where did you go?
I went and baled hay at 3 a.m. down in Hornwall.
And then where did you live?
I lived in my place in the holler for a while, and then I ended up moving in with Dad. And I lived there for a while. And that's kind of where my main, I would stay other places. I had a few few friends that would be like, hey, why don't you come stay with me? And honestly, a lot of them women who, hey, my ex is crazy, will you come stay with me? So I would go stay with them. Or they had kids. So, and one thing I wasn't going to do is let a kid go hungry. So I made sure there was groceries in the house and places like that. And things of that nature, just trying to make sure everybody was all right. But I kind of just stayed. My main place of my residence was at Dad's house, but, you know, wherever I was needed.
And it says a lot about you. You could see the heart inside of you, even though that addiction was there, still having the heart inside you to have to take care of everybody and stuff. I'm glad that you said that. So I mean that's really cool.
So I did want to follow up on that as well. I keep hearing there's this common denominator with love with you had for your dad, love that you had for mama. You were, you didn't care about yourself, but you cared about mama. And then now we're talking about you, the full-blown drug addict, couch surfing, but making sure that these babies had food in their house wherever you were at, or that they were protected and their crazy daddies or whatever, mama's boyfriends weren't going to come in here and hurt anybody. And so I feel like this love thing kind of keeps tracking, and I can speak from experience on that because you showed up at this house where we're shooting this podcast at half high one night because Abby had a boyfriend, and you wanted to make sure that Abby's boyfriend knew that you weren't going to tolerate any handsiness, and he was a good boy, but you didn't know that, and you just made
he
sure
didn't care.
Yeah.
Not even a little bit.
So I feel like this love keeps, it's following you. So I feel like God was just kind of chasing you this whole time. Like he was still there. He's still, his love is still in you, and you just aren't even recognizing it yet.
How much did you notice that?
All the time. Every time he called me and said, so-and-so's ready to go to rehab, come get us. And I'd take him high as a kite and whoever... when they were strung out, but we've been to East Tennessee, West Tennessee. He was taking people, still helping.
So even though he's in the middle of it himself, he's still helping others.
Yep.
And realizing when people want to get help, and you said you weren't going to cry, but there's a little bit of watery eyes going on over there. I think he has the Westbrook's gene as well.
It's in there. That's where it's in there.
But so you weren't like a dealer that was like, no, man, I got to keep business. I mean, you were.
There's always going to be new addicts.
So but you saw when people needed help that.
If you wanted away from it, I wanted nothing more for you.
So, and I wanted to go back. You had talked about, because we're kind of in that area of you said couch surfing. So what was the place in the holler? You said it was your place in the holler. What was it?
So it used to be my grandfather's place on my dad's side. It is where even if things get too hectic or just I need to go somewhere, that's where I go. And just sit out there and listen to the nature. It's a place of peace for me. But it was my grandfather's spot. When he passed, I got half of it, and I believe Panitha got the other half. They had bought the other half for me, but a long time ago. So it's kind of my little section of the world it's mine.
Is there a house on it?
There's 2 campers, a fallen-in house, a shop, and an old fallen-in barn. But, I mean, if crap hits the fan and I do got to go somewhere, there's a roof.
So when you left that night at 2 o'clock in the morning, you went and baled hay in Hornwall. Who was you baling hay for at 3 o'clock?
Just a buddy of mine.
I'm sure that'd be another story. And then you went to your place in the holler, which was you stayed in a camper, you guys in for a little bit, and then from there went to your dad's, and that's kind of where we had gotten to on that. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, one of the things that I meant to follow up on is when all this started from 15, 18 in that time frame, was there anything you were running from, trying to kill the pain for, a motive for anything? Because you had a lot of trauma that you went through
No.
But it just...
There was one time in my life I can remember I tried the drug thing to cover up a pain, and it went horribly wrong. And I never did it for that reason ever again.
Gotcha.
Do you mind talking about what the pain was?
Yeah, when my dad went to prison. Actually, I tried something new. Tried ecstasy, and a lot of them, for the first time. Got into a fight with my stepdad on the back porch of my uncle's. Offered to sell her drugs, and then went and cried in the woods for probably 45 minutes to an hour. Just absolutely lost my mind. But that is the only time I ever did drugs, because I just kept taking them and it wouldn't go away.
That's the only time you did drugs to escape something.
Yeah, to escape something. And I realized then, because every other pain I just dealt with it. Stuff happens in life. It's going to continue to happen. There is no running from it. There is no hiding from it. You take the punch, you eat it, you roll on, because life's going to continue, whether you want them there and they're not, or whether they're there and you don't want them to be. Life's going to roll on. And that's how I looked at things for a long time, except that one time. And I tried to do drugs enough. I tried to get high enough for it to go away, and it didn't. Because
the one, your hero, for lack of a better term, I mean, your dad, and because he had went to prison, he had gotten...
we watched him grow up trying to be his mini-me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. What... I want to ask you, though, because what you're saying there is so interesting, that you, for the most part, your addiction and drug taking was just because you wanted to do that. You just wanted to have fun, and you just wanted to... And it had nothing to do with the pain, but I would like to touch a little bit on the pain. Do you, Chrissy, want to talk about what happened with his stepmama? I mean, his step-grandmother. His grandmother's. Yes.
So we took some, as happens in life, like he said, like you get some heavy hits. Like we're a close family, obviously, and he had just grown up close to grandparents, and we lost his papa when he was really little, and he handled that like a champ. And but then my mom got cancer, and he and I went down there for the last month and stayed with her, so he watched that whole process, and literally watched her die. And then a year later, his other grandmother on his dad's side was murdered in a murder-suicide, and he had just been down there the week before, like with them, even if we had answers, it wouldn't be good enough for why did this happen. But it was not one of those things where it was a volatile relationship, anything you ever worried about. But
it was her and her husband.
Her and her husband.
Was the one that...
He shot her, and then he laid down in bed beside her and shot himself. And that's when, to me, everything kind of escalated. Even like with his dad, obviously that was his mom that he lost, and so things really just kind of went sideways. Yeah, went sideways. And from my point, because she was, losing my mom was tough, and then she and I were still wonderful friends, great friends. And then we lost her too, so it like spiraled for me too. I was in all this grief, and then watching him, and that was the only reason I could think in my head, well, he's just, this is his way of coping. And it's not okay, but I don't know what to do about it,
I think it's really interesting, Cole, that you said you couldn't get high enough to get rid of that pain of your dad going to prison, because I feel like a lot of people will say that's why they drank, or that's why they did this, or that's why they got high. But really and truly,
I wasn't that lucky.
Well, but really and truly, you can't. I mean, you just can't. The pain is still going to be there when you sober up, or the pain is still going to be there when that high wears off. Like, you're still going to have to deal with it. So the drugs or the alcohol, they're not actually killing anything. They're just delaying the inevitable.
And a lot of times I would be high and feel more than when I was sober. For me, I know that's probably backwards than what most people feel, but for me getting high, I felt something.
Yeah. So let's paint a picture. So we talk about this teenage years, 18, mom sets down some boundaries and you leave. Some people go and just have, they're an addict and they never have a run-in with the law, but that's not been the case for you.
Not at all.
So do you want to share a little bit of that?
Which time? Which part?
Well, we'll stay in our time. So you've moved out and you're living with your dad. So what was the first time?
Which one was the first time? Was it when they caught me on the hill at Mitchell's?
No, oh no.
No.
Because you'd already been to rehab at that point. So we can't remember which time, but the first big intervention was I had been thinking we needed to try to do an intervention. You know, you see about intervention, and so I had been talking to an intervention specialist already, and then I get a call that he's in jail, which was the first time. And
what was the arrest? Do you remember? How did the arrest go? Do you remember?
I don't remember that one.
What was he arrested for?
drugs and running
So
from
he
the
was-
law.
No, I didn't get arrested the first time for running because I didn't start running until later. I don't even remember what I got arrested for.
Just
It was
possession.
Drug, possession. It was drug related. I don't know what the stop was for, but he lands in jail, and that was the first time I saw him in shackles and orange when I was sitting, and he didn't know I was going to be there.
Yeah, I don't think I even called you the first time. Somebody else did, didn't they?
Yeah. I knew about your arrest long before I ever got the call from you from jail. I mean, for sure, every time. But
Because people see it and they call.
oh yeah, and a lot of people are calling out of concern, and a lot of people are calling out of being nosy. But
The world we live in.
the world, it is what it is. But anyway, I found out, and so I contacted the interventionist, and he's like, well, do you want to go try it? So we went to court, and I remember sitting, they bring the inmates in to this jail, and they walk across into the courtroom, and I was sitting down a landing of steps, and you could see, and I saw him come through shackled, and I thought, well, this wasn't on my bingo card for today. You know, you just think about those things. You don't know what you're going to see. And
Well, I'm sure it was. I mean, you going through knowing that he's doing these things, you know that that's a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
You never denied that.
no,
But just to
100%.
actually see it come to fruition.
Seeing it is hard. Like, you know it. Like, I knew it was coming. Like, if he kept going the way he was going, he was either going to be, I was going to be seeing him in the casket, or I was going to be seeing him
Behind glass.
in the shackles. One or the other, it was coming. And but you're still not prepared for it. It doesn't matter what that is, or I wasn't anyway.
Right.
And I still wasn't very educated on stuff, and not that I'm super educated on it now, but I did try to start learning. And you know, he was able to go to rehab, went all the way to rehab in Boston, Massachusetts,
Went to Texas.
Texas first. Yep. And then he sold drugs from the rehab in Texas.
Okay, I want to make sure that we reiterate. So he goes to Texas for rehab after getting in jail and ends up selling drugs from the rehab?
Yeah, we don't know anybody in Texas either, just by the way. So if nobody's safe, like when if people want drugs, they can get drugs. That's something I was
And you, again,
educated
in
on.
a place that you didn't know anybody, just found it easy to...
Came up to me.
Please talk further on that. How did that happen?
This guy came in, and he he was there for a little while. You know, and he was originally from the area, and me and him was kind of. He seemed like my kind of people, which is probably when I should have known I shouldn't have been around him. But he come up to me. He said, "Hey man, I just got this in. What you trying to do? You know how to move this?" And I was like, "Son, that's what I do." And
Because, again, you were addicted to the lifestyle.
yeah, my lifestyle just showed right back up. I was ready to go then.
Were you ready to give it up though?
Nope, not at all. I even told everybody there, when I get home, I'm getting high. I hope y'all know this. Like,
So I know that there was the lifestyle thing that we talk about. We know that you enjoyed the partying, the getting high, the seeing, but there was also that arrogance of I'm the guy that can make it happen, and that's.
yeah,
You had that arrogance when you were 4 years old singing, what was it? Big Boy,
Big Boy
Toys.
Toys.
Yeah, at our wedding. So, I mean, you always had that about you. So that the being able to sell the drugs and all that really made it come to fruition. Like, man, I can make this happen. So a guy comes to you. Did he just hear about you, I guess?
I mean, we had kind of been talking, making friends beforehand. We just kind of clicked whenever he got there. He was also, I believe he was in my room, too. So, it just kind of was, all the dominoes fell exactly how they should have for that particular thing to happen.
Wow. So he knew. What's amazing about this is I want parents and loved ones to think just because your loved one is in rehab is not an automatic.
No, and just because they agree to go, which
Doesn't mean they actually want to change.
right, but you don't not if you have the resource and availability, you don't not take that chance because you never know when it's going to click, when it's going to stick, or what seed's going to be planted for the future.
So how many times did you go to rehab before it stuck?
4.
So it stuck on the 4th time?
Oh, it stuck before I went to the last one, but I just went to 4 rehabs.
Okay.
So so on this one, so you're selling drugs out of the rehab. The guy comes to you. He says, "Hey, can you do this?" You're like, "Absolutely, I can do this." How did that process work?
So for what I had in my pocket, which was black tar heroin, I waited a couple days, seen what everybody's DOC was, and then everybody who said heroin or opiates was who I went to.
Drug of choice.
Yes.
DLC. Okay.
That's who I went to.
How did
and
you
I
get
went,
it?
And I went to him the day before Family Day because I knew that's when they'd be getting their money.
How did you get it?
I didn't ask that question. He had it.
Oh, he had it. So he was your supplier. You were just moving it.
Yep.
So again, addicted to the lifestyle.
I'm asking these questions because those of us we all have no clue, right? We don't live that lifestyle. We haven't seen that. So for us, it's like, man, you would think rehab would be this, okay, this is ultimate. This is the way it should be. This is the way we want it to be. And in some places and in some instances it is. But to see this happen, it's like, how in the world,
You put a bunch of drug addicts in one spot.
Well, and I think that's one of the takeaways here is, people have to be strong enough to say no, but it's everywhere. Drugs are everywhere, and they're accessible everywhere. And that's a takeaway. That doesn't mean don't send your loved ones to rehab or whatever, but it just means, you just have to be aware that...
And they need to be aware that
They
that
need
could
to be
even
aware.
face them there.
Yes.
They need to be ready for that. So we ran from the cops. We've been to rehab. Or no, we didn't. We got arrested. We've been to rehab. Then we ran from the cops a time or two.
I got caught running from the cops a time or two. Yeah.
Okay. And you were in jail for that. At some point, are you thinking like, I don't want to do this anymore?
No. Every time it's like I just got to be better.
And
Got to move different.
yeah, change up your way of doing things. And
That's probably the hardest thing for me as a mom to sit here and hear knowing how smart he is.
oh yeah, definitely. Well, and a lot of times, isn't that a thing though, that like a lot of people with addiction are super smart, and it's like a way that they're keeping their mind.
Super smart and super empathetic to others.
Everything's easy, so you find something that's a challenge. What's the biggest challenge other than doing stuff right under people's noses and not getting caught?
Yeah. So just something for parents, I guess, and people in general to be aware of. Like, the challenge the challenge is the not getting caught or the so run from the law, been to rehab. You said you went to rehab 4 times.
Never on my own fruition.
So, and this, were they court ordered?
Every one of them.
Okay.
Every time, except the second one, because when I got caught in Texas at that one rehab, they just transferred me to Massachusetts to another one for another 30 days. I've completed them all, except I even technically graduated from the other one, the first one, before they caught us, because I was fixing to be out of there.
Do you regret any of that? Like, what do you regret? Anything? Besides getting caught?
I mean, as far as regrets goes, I don't really have very much regrets.
Do you feel like it all got you here?
Yeah. I wouldn't be who I am today. And I know this is probably not what everybody wants to hear. I had a lot of fun. I had a really good time.
I'm glad you did.
Until it...
But, so let's talk about that for a second. You had a lot of fun, but what does it cost you?
Oh, it'll cost you everything. I mean, that is one of the biggest things for me, too, was I was the freest I'd ever been. But the consequence of being that free is your freedom gets taken away 100%, like completely.
Because you can't buy a gun now, right?
Not legally.
You can't go hunt. You can't take your kid hunting.
There's over, I can't remember the number, so I'm not going to spout the statistic, but there are several choices that everybody gets to make that a felon doesn't. I think it's like 600 and something daily decisions that people get to make that felons don't get to make. The choice is already made for them.
I still think what you said there is very important, though. You saying, though, that you had a lot of fun doing it. I mean, there's just no denying it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, that's what your flesh wanted to do. You know, that's what the devil was throwing in front of you, and you was snatching it. And even looking back, you're like, I mean, the flesh was enjoying that. The flesh was having fun. You know, I wasn't thinking spiritually, absolutely not. Everything I was thinking was flesh related, so of course I had a good time. However, there was consequences that go with that. So, I mean, anybody listening today can go, well, it might be fun, but listen to what Cole went through, the freedom that he lost, and now what he has to deal with, you know, how difficult it is moving forward is what they have to realize.
And there will be some people that listen, or could be some people that listen and go, well, I've got to do better than that. And there may be some people that listen and go, wow, like I am in this process of having a lot of fun, but I'm not caught yet, and so maybe I need to rethink some things, or maybe I need to seek help. And if you are watching this podcast and want to seek help, that is something that we can hook you up with, right? Do you want to plug that right now?
Yeah, so some things that there's a lot of loss that came out of the lifestyle there, but like there was a ministry born through our church called Hope in Recovery. So Hope in Recovery at Hope Church in Centerville. If you need help, like reach out to us. We will find a way to get you help when you're ready.
Yeah, so just if you are listening, the church number is 931-994-4151. If you text that number, then we can hook you up with Christy. So just a plug there.
Yeah,
while
absolutely.
we're talking about it. So Cole, what made you? What was the change in you? What made you change?
Well, first off, the start of it was when I felt how bad it hurt when Dad went to prison. It did make me realize that if I go, what it's going to do to her. Because I'm her kid, not even her parent.
And yet again, the love thing continues.
Yeah, I did not get sober for me. But I'm going to put that out there, 100%. That BS that you have to do it for you, it's not true. You can do it for whatever reason you want, if you want it bad enough.
That's really powerful, because there's a lot of people who choose drugs over their kids, and they choose drugs over a career they've always dreamed of. And you're here to say you call BS.
Yeah. That is the complete opposite of what everybody else is going to tell you. They'll do it when they're ready. Yes, they'll do it when they're ready, but it does. The reasoning behind why they're ready does not have to be themselves. I did not quit for me. If it was up to me, I would still be doing what I wanted to do, 100%. If I was doing what I was doing now for me. That's just how the cookie crumbles.
So, real quick, Christy, you had originally said Jesus was not in the home then, but you found him real quick. I know there's going to be a mama listening that's been in your shoes. So talk about, because we've talked about all this stuff that's happened. He's been through rehab. He's been in jail. He's run from the cops. I mean, he crashed out running from the cops, right? It was
Multiple
all over Facebook.
times,
I remember
yeah.
your Facebook post. It was like, yes, this is my son. Like,
Yeah.
So talk about that just a little bit.
I would like to say that early on, I went to the Lord and surrendered, but I did not because I'm a control freak. I kept trying to control and manipulate the outcomes with Cole or what was happening, but I couldn't. It just wasn't in the cards. I think it was maybe the third stint in rehab, and I had dropped him off. And I was driving out, and above the gate it said, "Let go and let God." And I had a complete mental come apart right there and realized that this was way out of my range as a mama. And no matter how bad I wanted it, I had to figure out a way to let go and let God. And so I just started turning to Him.
Is there anything else you want to say on that as far as what you would like to tell moms? When you seen that let go, when you seen that up there, and you started thinking, what else do you want to let them know?
I wish I had let go sooner. And letting go doesn't mean that you're letting go of your child. I want to be very clear with that. There are many forms of boundaries and tough love. And I think Cole could tell you that I never stepped away from his life, but I did try to put boundaries in place. And that looks different for everybody. But I wish I had turned to God much, much sooner than I did.
Awesome. All right, so we will go.
So one thing I want to tell a lot of parents, and it's not, and this doesn't ring true for everybody, but as a parent, if you did the best that you could, it is not your fault. Period. Like I said at the beginning, I did what I did by my choice. No matter what I went through or anything else, she did the best job she could raising me and did pretty good. There was a reason why I was so, I mean, I know she hates to hear this, but so successful is because I had respect. I had all of the things that needed to be a good person or a contributing person. I just used them for the wrong reasons. I had them. They were instilled in me by her, even my dad, mainly her, because she was the main one there. But it's nobody's, when somebody makes that choice, unless you specifically put it in their hand for their first time and said, hey, you want to do this, it's not your fault. It's solely on the person who made the choice. I
really appreciate hearing him say that because I feel like so many parents do blame themselves, and we've had kids on here. We've had kids on the podcast who've had grief, and they've had, divorce, and they've had all these things, and you've had those things. You've had the grief and the divorce, and you've had all the reasons, and you're sitting here saying, "I did it." You're holding yourself accountable that you did it. It's not mom's fault, and
it's not my mom's fault. It's not my dad's fault, even with what he was doing.
Right.
I made the choice, and that's ultimately what it boiled down to. I made the choice. I continue to make the choice.
So, moving on now. I have so many notes here and so many questions to start going over, and I don't even really know what to start with. But Christy, one of the things that you had put on yours when we said, who do you feel like was being like Berl in your time of despair? And you had put Jesus was one of yours. And Cole, you had listed some people, but do y'all just want to talk about for a second about who was most being like Berl during all your stuff?
So for me, obviously, the whole time I had the support and love of our family, from my aspect, because while one person may be in addiction, it does not just affect that one person. And so there were so many people, too many to list, you guys, and then, I found the church, which I'd kind of come to off and on. It's not that I never knew Jesus, I just didn't have a relationship with him. And so that's something beautiful to me that's came out of this, is I, got the relationship with the Lord, and so then church. But for me, it was we had family. I had friends that really stepped up and were beside, kind of walked along and just supported me. And that's one thing, people who don't tell you how to handle things, because you don't know how you'll handle it until you're in that situation. I had to go to my sister hat in hand and apologize to her for telling her how she should handle her son, who was also suffered, had she's been suffering for years from his addiction. And I would do this and I would do this, but I had to go to her and say, I'm sorry.
That was I'm sure very powerful for her to see, but very hard for you to be able to say, because that for a lot of people, it's so easy to armchair quarterback, isn't it? It's so easy to sit there and go, I can sit there all day long and say, well, Christy, why don't you just do this or that? But I can say that because I don't have a child that's been in addiction. So it's easy for me to say, well, this is what I do. But knowing that now, growing, the older I've gotten, it's like, okay, buddy, until you're in those shoes, you got to keep your mouth shut. All you can really do is just kind of love folks and just be there for them. So that you were able to say that and go to your sister, it took a lot of courage to say, hey, I was wrong on that one.
Yeah. And we still handle things very differently, and I just had to be okay with that. And that's something else I would want people to know, is you have to handle it the best you can, and that you don't have to have anybody's approval to do that either. And it's hard to do that, but lean on the people who are there just in silence beside you.
I feel like when we watched you guys walk through this, that as parents with younger kids, being your younger cousin, that we were like almost sitting back taking notes, like, oh, this worked, and, like this didn't work, or, oh gosh, we noticed this. Like, I feel like we just learned so much just being beside y'all and watching y'all and, seeing you guys work through all of this. And I feel like as parents, we picked up on a lot of stuff that you were doing so right,
Thank you.
Cole, what about you for people who are being like Berl for you?
Yeah, I had several, especially maybe more than I realized, even through the thick of it. Mainly because I isolated myself away from everybody, just so they didn't see it.
Because so they didn't have to see it. Was that what you were going to say?
I was going to say have to deal with it, but they still had to deal with it, but didn't have to see it.
Because you love people so much, you didn't want them to have to see you.
Pretty much. So I just, but so later on, I kind of realized that I had you guys. I had Devin Pickard. Big shout out to him. Probably would not be sitting here today if it wasn't for him. My boss, I'm not going to say his name on open mic, but if he ever watches this, he knows who he is. He knows what he did. And it still gives me ample opportunity. Now, again, that goes back to the good parenting I had, that no matter how, even though I disappeared one day on him, no matter how high I was, if I was working, I was working. I was, nothing comes free. So, but still, I digress.
And he gave you a second chance, third chance?
Third, fourth. I'm fixing to run a wash for him in the near future. So still giving me opportunity.
Because he sees your heart and your hard work. So during all of this, Christy, how long how long of a process do you think it took for you to just actually relinquish that control to God and just kind of, what was that process like?
Oh, I'm still working on that.
And I think that's one thing that's real important to say on this podcast is we have said, like, these are teenagers. This is still a progress, right? You're a young adult. This is still in progress. Recovery is not like a one and done thing, right? You're working on your recovery every day.
And seeing him in recovery, and I'm so proud of the decisions, that he's making. And sometimes I see him make decisions, and I still have to, like, sit on my hands, because it's like, it's none of your business. He's an adult now, particularly. He's an adult, and he's making good decisions, and, but I have to let him face those consequences of whatever they are. And that's still hard for me. I am still working on it, but, I just have to, I trust that God, and I've always believed this, that God has a plan and a purpose for Cole. And it's a big one. I don't know what it is, but in my mama heart, I know that. And I just have to let go and let God and trust that process. And,
you said, you was talking about still working on that. We as Christians, we understand, though, that we fall short of the glory of God every day.
Every day.
We are absolutely not perfect. None of us are. We're all broken people. So we are always constantly working on whatever it is.
Yes.
All of us have something. And yours, one of the things you're like, I can't relinquish control. I have to have control. And to say that, hey, I understand that I am like that. I'm working on that. Me and God are still working that out.
Yeah, I'm from the south side of heaven.
Boy, I don't know who you think you're talking to.
So, Cole, when did God start working on your heart?
So, kind of a spiritual moment probably for me. I was in the Decatur County Jail in solitary confinement because I had slipped and fell and hurt my ankle. And so I was in solitary confinement because I had to have crutches and I couldn't have crutches in the pod, blah, blah, blah. Wasn't really that bad because I wasn't in there for any trouble. People were, all the guards, I was cool with them. They took me to the hospital a few times for my ankle. So, they would come talk to me and let me out for a little while, even when I wasn't supposed to be, but things like that. So it wasn't, necessarily all that bad, but I remember there was one particular time I was just like, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of being here. And for the first time in my life, I got down on my knees on the side of the bed and prayed with actual emotion that I was ready to go home. And I knew the next day when I woke up. I just knew it. I didn't know I was going home or not, but I knew by the end of the day, I would not be in that cell anymore. And by the end of the day, granted, I was in another cell in Perry County, but I was not in.
But let's lead up to that though. How old were you? Do you remember?
20 something.
Right. So we're talking. How many years are we talking about at this point that you have been in and out of jail? You have been dealing. Yes, you had your highs and your good times, like you've talked about, but now you've been dealing with those consequences, the other side of that.
Yeah.
So we're talking probably at least 4 or 5 years.
9.
No, excuse me, Mama should know. So 9 years of dealing with this, because I want the audience to know that when you said I'm tired of this, it's because of 9 years of the consequences of your actions. Mm-hmm. And the
lifestyle,
right.
The consequences.
And of course, as well as anybody does, Jesus was there knocking. Because of the love you have in your heart that we've talked about so many times, God, we could easily tell God's always been there knocking on the door. You just was too stubborn to answer, right? You was like, I'm going to do, this is my way, this is the way it's going to be. But that day, you had finally opened the door.
Yeah, I finally let the barricade down. Generally, when there was knocks on the door, I had to go hide, but this time I didn't.
But that moment, that's what is so inspiring to me, is that moment of knowing who you are, and even if I didn't, hearing your story, knowing how the fight that's in you to of selfishness, of it's all about me, and I don't need nobody's help, blah blah blah. Then you get to that point and that door gets open because you finally said, okay, I'm done, and you hit your knees. I mean, that's a story of, that's a redemption arc. That's a story of salvation. I mean, it's such a powerful moment right there.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to hit my knees, anybody can, because I don't give up. I do not lose. And I lost on my own. That was the time the FBI agent walked in and tried to tell me I was going to go to prison, to the feds. You know, that was...
Well, and I think that's something we should bring up also is you are still on state probation right now for 7 more years?
8.
8 more years. Still, right now. A speeding ticket could send him to prison. Consequences.
And, what was I going to say?
Well, so you said an FBI agent. So talk about that. So this was when you were in Decatur County? Mm-hmm. And so an FBI agent had come.
I was sitting in the drunk tank, and he walked in and said, "Mr. Tennant, nice to see you again. I'd never met this man before in my life, but he knew who I was. And he said, we're going to bound you over to the feds." And me being the stubborn individual I was, I held my hands up for shackles and said, "Good, I'm ready to go see my dad. Let's go." And I think it kind of shocked him a little bit. I don't think he'd ever had that response before. But
so that's why I was saying that this moment in Decatur County, everything came to a head. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was, and that's, people say that when you hit your lowest point, that's a solid foundation, because you'd finally got down to like, okay, I've got to make a change. So the FBI agent came in and said that to you. You had that realization. You opened the door. And that's so then what happened from there? So then I'd carried out my sentence, or not my sentence there. I was waiting, going back and forth to court during that time. What I'm pretty sure happened is when I responded in the way that I responded, he realized he was not going to get nothing out of me, and didn't have the evidence that he wanted to put me where he wanted to put me. But I think he realized because I don't lose, that road was not going to be one he was going to wanted to travel on, because I was fixing to go to the hospital to have an X-ray or MRI or something done on my ankle, and I seen him and I knocked on the glass and I asked him, I said, "Hey man, when we going?" And he said, "Oh, you didn't have enough dope, this, that, and the other," when I got caught. Some excuse, and I was like, "All right then," and went and laid back down, and went to the hospital that day. But so I, just kind of going back and forth through there. I ended up being in solitary because, excuse me, had chili earlier. One of my nice little tricks. I was already limping, already had ankle surgery. I seen a wet spot in the floor, and I was trying to get furloughed. So I slipped and fell. Gotcha.
And oh man, I hurt my ankle. But I didn't actually.
You did, because he did have to have another surgery. So let's not overplay that a little bit, because they wouldn't have just done surgery if you hadn't needed it.
I think it actually messed up again when I hit the tree running from the police. I don't think it was from the slip and fall.
Either way,
you just seen an opportunity with the slip and fall.
Yeah, that didn't work out so well because they wanted to send me to the special needs prison to wait on my court dates. So they wanted to send me to prison before I got sentenced, instead of furloughing me.
Mm.
So is this the time where everything is just kind of starting to just bubble over and you're just kind of done with it all? Like, this is where
the consequences start getting real. Mm-hmm. Very real. This is when they start coming across with 14, 15 years to serve.
So all your fun and games were starting to kind of come back and bite you.
Yeah. They've finally had... They had never caught me with enough to really be able to do anything. They had finally caught me with enough to put me away for a minute.
And all the priors. like it all compounds. It's
Yeah.
compounded interest from all the prior stuff.
Yeah. But
That's where they get like, is a habitual offender.
Yes.
Okay.
yeah. But this was the one time they had caught me with felony amounts, which wasn't in the grand scheme of thing a very large amount, but and a gun, and several bullets.
This is when you ran that last time.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. He did. So just was that a traffic stop that they were trying to get you on?
No, I fell asleep driving, and people had called saying there was a dangerous driver, and somehow ended up driving past. Don't even know how I got there. The Decatur County Jail, and the cops pulled out behind me.
And you took off.
And I took off. We ran all the way to Parsons. Then I thought I'd lost them, and honestly, I fell asleep again and hit a tree because I'd been up for a long time. Several
So
days.
was this like a meth?
Was that meth?
Yeah.
Been awake for days
Yeah.
kind of thing?
About 7 days. And my body just was
Was done.
done. Had enough.
Were there any moments like when you were running from the cops like that? Were there any moments where you thought, "Man, I really don't need to be doing this"?
No. That's not what goes through your mind when you're doing that.
It's I don't need to be caught.
Yeah, it's I need to get gone. Let me figure out how I'm going to get gone. And you're making snap decisions. There's not any deep thought going.
Just one bad decision after the next.
Yep. It left, right, straight. Are they still back there?
Yeah. So then a little fast forward in the Decatur County Jail, we have our Jesus moment where we're praying. You get moved to a different.
So she came and bonded me out. I'd been there for a couple months. Did the slip fall. Been in the 23 and 1 for a while. And then she came and bonded me out.
For furlough, by the way.
Yeah.
It was for, we knew there was a purpose at this point, because at this point I knew he was going to prison, and I was tired of wasting money on stuff, and I wanted him, when he went to prison, to have had his ankle surgery, because I knew he needed it, because I'm like, he's going to have to fight for his life in there, and I want him to be standing on 2 good feet to do it.
So, all right. So let's take a second right there to really hit home on what you just said. You knew the fight that was going to come for him in prison, so you literally just bonded him out to try to get him prepared for that.
Yep.
Wow.
Were you that aware that you were probably going to go to prison?
Yeah. I started making preparations myself. I done started giving stuff away, putting stuff up. Like, I knew where I was going. I didn't know for how long, but I just knew I was going.
So what made you not go to prison?
All the people who were like Berl and Judge Mike Spencer and the word, however.
And is this the time that we were in the courtroom and he said he didn't want to see you back in there because he would personally make sure that you got everything you deserved?
Mm-hmm.
I remember that day. Yeah.
So you were done living that lifestyle. You had had your spiritual moment. Jesus was really working on your heart. Mama was giving it up to God. All kinds of people were there. And you had a judge that gave you literally one last chance. And is that when you went back into the year-long rehab then?
Mm-hmm. Not only did I have a judge to give me a chance, he made it. He was going to set an example with me. Because he put me right where I didn't need to be. In the middle of my stomping grounds. Literally across from the house I grew up in.
Yeah.
And I believe that was his point, because he did not let me go anywhere else. There was a bed open for another Hope Center in Waverly, and he denied it. And I remember him saying, if you said all this stuff on the stand, you're fixing to prove it. And he put me right where I didn't need to be and made me prove it.
Was a little bit of that you're proving it? Was a little bit of that I don't lose?
Yeah.
Let's
I like
say
you
here,
said a little bit. That's
Yeah.
funny.
too, that he was, before he was released to go into this final, like, last rehab, and you just want to talk about God's spiritual moments. Dad's going to federal prison. We've not seen him in months.
3 years.
3 years. And
Yeah, I hadn't seen my dad in 3 years.
I get word that Dad is in Perry County. They're on literally a cinder block wall separating the two of them. Because Dad's going away for a long time. And so they're in there together and get to end up being there together. And they got baptized in there together.
Because Dad was already working on his spiritual walk at this point, right?
Yes.
But you didn't know at first.
Yep.
And then, yeah, we come.
Talk about the reunion when you seen your dad for the first time after the 3 years. Oh, I got you with that one.
It was rough, but it was good.
I bet he was happy to see you, wasn't he? What did he say? What was his first words? Do you remember?
We didn't say nothing.
You just hugged? That's awesome.
They actually they actually let us come out in the hallway.
So y'all got to see each other. You had that moment of just utter shock of being able to see one another, and that just had that joy that hit you right then at that moment. What was his, in those minutes or hours, the times that you were leaving, what was his message to you? What was his biggest thing he wanted to tell you?
To calm down, I was next.
He was giving you that warning.
I don't know if it was just because he saw what I was doing or if he knew something I didn't. Because the same FBI agent that talked to me is the one who got him. So I don't know, because he told me several times, and he's told me since, you're lucky you're not with me right now in the same exact spot, except worse, because my priors was worse.
Right. So you and your dad are in jail together, in a county jail. You found yourself, you've had your moment of man, there's my pop, there's my son. He's talked to you about his biggest thing was, you need to stop. I need to calm you down. We need to do something. When did he start talking to you about Jesus?
Immediately. I mean, that's kind of what he said and did, was read his Bible every night. We went to the church with Brother Pearl there every time they let us. There was a couple more guys come in from a different church down there in Linden. We went to that one. Any Bible study group they offered there. They were finally letting people back in at that point to the jails.
Was it COVID time? Okay.
A little right after. So we did all that, and then we had talked to Devin about baptizing me and him, and then we had a whole group that wanted to get baptized with us as well. So
Some of my favorite pictures and video of all time is seeing, let's see, make sure I'm right. Your dad went first, right? And then he got out and y'all hugged, and then you went, and then got out, and just that embrace. All of us out there that was outside the jail on the other side of, I wanted through that fence so bad.
I know.
To hug them both, but I couldn't. But that was amazing. And to see, okay, so now Cole's at that point where, well, I was bigger and badder than everybody on the block, but there is one that's bigger than me.
Yeah.
And so, and having that realization.
Yeah, one of the, I guess we'll touch back on it in a minute, but I will say that was the most joyous baptism I think I've ever been to.
The amount of people that showed up in the rain to that baptism blew my mind. Now, granted, there were some people there for other people, but
I think 80% of Hope Church drove from Centerville. Like, they drove in and stood in the rain. It was beautiful.
We were going to make the statement that you were not alone.
And never had been. And your daddy either.
Yep.
your neck's high.
Okay, so is there? I mean, we've seen God work in this situation. Is there anything particular you want to say? Either one of you. I mean, I've seen God work. I personally, with my own eyes, have seen God work in you and you through this whole situation. But is there anything particular that you guys want to say?
As they look at one another.
I'm grateful. As hard as it is to say, I mean, I'm grateful for the pain. It taught me a lot. I'm grateful for the relationship that I have with Jesus now. Grateful for the opportunity to maybe help some others instead of just staying wrapped inside myself. And very grateful for the growth that I see in Cole.
Amen. Cole, what about you? Is there anything particular you want to say?
I'm grateful for the experience I had in that cell, to waking up knowing that I was not going to be there the next day.
You just had like a peace about you.
Yeah, I knew I wasn't going to be there, and there was no other explanation for it, because all of the God stuff logically does not make sense to me. None of it. The more I read it, the more, or anything, I try to go down that rabbit hole, the more the logical side of me is like, but then I go back to that moment, and it restores my faith every time.
Because that actually started all the other stuff, right? Mm-hmm. That was the moment that changed your life, that all the things started changing.
Well, and God's so much bigger than human logic, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, we have to, it's faith that we live by. And so when you try to sit down and logically figure out God, you'll fail every time, because there's no figuring him out. But when you rely on your faith and you remember those moments that the spiritual side of you says, yeah, buddy, that's me, and you having that peace had to have been Jesus just going, finally, he opened up the door. I finally got to him. Now, you'll be okay. Yep. I got you.
Jesus sent a big blockade of people through, I think, church to keep that door open also. Like, he works through others, and we've experienced that.
One thing I thought of that I'm curious of, were any of the officers that were there at your baptism, or that helped you and your dad unite, or that had to take you to church or anything like that, were any of those the guys that you ran from or had interactions with in the past?
Probably. No, not at the baptism or anything, because those are all COs. They're not actual police officers. And the ones that helped me and my dad reunite, she's not even a CO. She's shout out to Miss April. She's the jail administrator, sergeant, or captain, something.
Have you seen any of those people now?
Mm-mm.
I just would love, maybe they'll see this podcast and see that the change in you is real and that people can recover. Because they probably looked at you like another one, but now.
I think all the cops looked at, matter of fact, I know they do. The younger ones looked at me as a career starter, and the older ones looked at me as a prize.
Mm. I can, full transparency, there was many a times I would hear that your mama was bailing you out. And I'd go, oh, Chrissy, what are you doing? Because I love you, but I was mad at you. You know, I was like, you know,
Let him set his butt in there.
yeah,
a little
right.
while.
Let him. This is the only way to keep him safe. You know, it's because if he's out there, then he's not going to learn. He's got to stay in there, and you know. But man, to see where you have come from since then, I couldn't be more proud of you. I mean, you have, and I know that your daddy is beside himself proud of you.
I thought it was very interesting a while ago. You said, you know, that if you can hit your knees and pray, then anybody can. Because, and I know what you're trying to tell people is you've done all this stuff, right? You'd been through all this stuff, and then here you were, Mr. Arrogant, you know, breaking down on your knees, just kind of giving it over to God because you were done with it. And if you can do that, and I would like to reiterate that for anybody listening, look, I know this guy. And if he can do that, then anybody can. Like, because just the arrogance alone.
Hey, he's definitely got it. All you ladies out there, he's definitely got all the whatever you want to call it. But but what is, you know, we're talking about being proud of you, where you've come. Where have you come? What's going on right now? You and your mom talk about it.
I'm doing a whole new fitness journey. Trying to lose a little bit of weight. Nobody tells you when you get sober that you get fat. Fixing to hope everything keeps going like it's going. I'll be getting a promotion, be a GM at the company that I work for. Getting a brand new wash. It's just going to be a lot of work, but hopefully it'll pay off. And yeah, a couple other little things.
Just dreaming big, aren't you?
In the background.
And Christy, what's going on as far as your? I mean, because this of anything, not only has Cole come from adversity, and he's come from the pit of despair and destruction where he was at. God has put you on a mission.
He has. So just through the support that we received and seeing people truly be like Berl for our family. And I got to see so many people who didn't have that support. I feel like God was just leading me to try to step up to help others. And so, you know, again, through our Hope and Recovery Ministry, we've been doing that, where we have meetings and, you know, help people get into rehab, or maybe even help them after they're in recovery. You know, the system is not set up to help people succeed. And, you know, a lot of times they've not spent a lot of time adulting, so just helping people learn to navigate those things. And then we're also going to be launching a podcast to talk about just some real stuff. Coming in 2026, we don't have a date yet, just to share some education out, bring in people from the community and share people's testimonies. And that podcast is going to be called Holding Hope.
So all of you, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so Holding Hope is going to just let people who have been in recovery, one, share their testimony, but two, also give them a place for resources, education. Like you said, they haven't had a lot of time for adulting, so this will basically be teaching them some things too. Is right?
Yes, that's our hope.
That they need, like life skill type stuff.
Yep.
Okay.
So all of you out there that are dealing with addiction, or know someone that are dealing with addiction, that there's something coming. You know, there's already something here in Hope and Recovery. You can reach out to Hope Church. But I am so excited for you guys to sit down, and Holding Hope I think will be amazing. I think it'll be so many people, because there's so many people. Drugs addiction, face it touches everybody.
It doesn't discriminate. There's no discrimination.
There's nobody out there that some way, shape, or form is having themselves, a loved one, somebody has been through it or is going through it. So I'm really excited for that. So sometime, what'd you say, next year?
Now, sometimes next year, hopefully in the first quarter is our hope, but we're getting some things lined up. That's just the next avenue that God's leading us down to continue what we're doing and just grow on that.
So for those of you that don't know, Christy is super project based. So when Cole was going through addiction, and and she was struggling with that. She didn't just sit at home and cry. She literally was like, I'm here. We're going to do this. We're going to get people recovered. And she launched Hope and Recovery as a church ministry and just made it her passion to get people better while she was trying to get her baby better. See, I said it.
And it's been great. It's been to see the folks that's come through the doors that have been and is still struggling to be able to get that help that they need. Because the Lord, when Jesus walked this earth, he didn't walk this earth just walking into synagogues and temples. No, he went where everybody was to tell the good news, right? And then it's what he instructed his disciples to do as well. So just because somebody is addicted doesn't mean that they can't find the glory of God and that they can't be saved.
Cole, do you have people that reach out to you, seeing you now and how much what you're doing with life? Do they reach out to you and say, I want what you've got? Can you get me in somewhere?
I've had a couple of people reach out before and be like, hey, can you help me? And, we try to get them help. Sometimes it sticks, sometimes it don't. Something I've learned with helping people, you can't get caught up in whether it works or not. The one thing about not really having that can turn off that I don't care switch is if they make it, that's great. If they don't, move on to the next, or they'll come back around.
Right.
When they want to try again.
There's plenty of people out there that you can help.
And our job is to meet people where they are, too. I think as Christians.
I don't meet people
we
there.
don't go to Homo.
So one thing I wanted to follow up on you, I know we talked a while ago, kind of joked at the break, people didn't see this, but you went outside to go vape. Do you feel like that addiction, sometimes is it, when you're addicted to one thing, like now, would vaping be like a crutch for you, or is it just...
It's definitely a crutch for me because I don't want to do it, or because I want to try to quit. But I don't think it has to do with, because I was addicted to something else. I started smoking a long time ago.
Gotcha.
Smoked through my whole addiction. Nicotine has been harder for me to kick than kicking drugs. Like, I would much rather have to come off ice than I would have to come off nicotine.
Wow.
Any day of the week. I can sleep ice off. I can't sleep nicotine off. It keeps you up. But I do think, it's a good question, that a lot of people take and they just switch their addictions to something a little more healthier. Mm-hmm. Recovery. A lot of people will. It's not. You don't see it as an addiction because they're not doing whatever they have. They're not doing all these dirty things to get it. But it's still, they surround their life in it. That's what their life is about. Or whether it's church or the gym or
Food.
I mean, a lot of people get in recovery, and to me, it doesn't seem like they're recovered. They just switched their addiction to something a little more healthy, which, if that works for you, great.
Right.
Do that.
Because not everybody's recovery is going to look the same.
No. I don't do the meetings. I don't got a sponsor.
You don't do the meetings that you're not required to do. You court ordered.
Do you feel like, is it part of that because you don't want to be around those people? Because you've seen, obviously in Texas that didn't work for you being around those people. I just don't. Their experiences are different than mine, and a lot of times than what I had. There's a lot more. Are you sometimes annoyed with their lack of accountability? That, and then, they're talking about some of the things they've done to their family and this, that, and the other, and I'm like, nope, I can't. I don't relate to it, which is the whole point of those meetings, is we relate to, this is what I went through. Oh, yeah, well, I've been through the same thing. I just don't relate to a lot of
other people's recovery story or stories and pain that they went through. It's just not what I experienced.
So one of the things that you put on here where we had asked was, what are any thoughts of what not to do? And you put on there, do not get complacent. So how do you not get complacent if you're not going to meetings? Like, share with everybody.
Well, I work 7 days a week, but
So work.
yeah,
So that brings up a good point. What you do at your job is a little bit of it that same fast moving. You're kind of the guy.
sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes it is. I'm still doing sales there, so
Right.
I found my niche,
Yeah.
so I stick with that. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the times I am, sometimes I'm not. I will be at more so at the new place. Like that's going to be my job, pretty much. If I'm understanding correctly, I haven't talked a lot about it, but
So you don't get complacent by just working 7 days a week.
going to the gym. I've got goals that I'm trying to accomplish, and that's how I stay uncomplacent. Is I'm going to do what I have to do to accomplish those goals.
So it's kind of like, let's see. I'm pretty sure God said something about idle hands in Scripture. So it's almost like God knows, But
This boy cannot be idle.
right. I mean, he's literally living it. Is like, don't.
He was not idle as a toddler.
No, he was not.
No, he was wide open.
Yeah. So one of the things you put in here about how do you feel like God worked in your situation was, you said there's no way I'm walking free today without God in my situation, which brings me back to what you said earlier when you said, I don't give up and I don't lose. But by losing yourself, what did you gain? When you had your spiritual...
I mean, I probably gained the fact that I knew no matter what happened, what was going to happen was supposed to happen. Mm-hmm. So whether it was, which I knew at that point I was going home, but whether it was later on down the road, whether I went to prison, whether I was out.
You were just at peace that's where you were needed.
Yeah, that's where I was going to have to be, so...
And it gave you a peace. So you gave up yourself, you lost yourself, and gained the peace that God gives us. Okay, now I'll come to my next question because that just gives me chills. So Christy, you had put. Is there anything you would tell parents, like offer thoughts of like what not to do or words of encouragement as we're kind of nearing the close of this podcast?
Don't give up. I mean, you can set boundaries for yourself, whatever. Don't lose yourself also, because we tend to sometimes wrap ourselves up in our children and their well-being. And that's okay to a certain extent. But don't lose yourself, but also don't give up, because as long as there's breath, there's hope.
You definitely are the epitome of a mom that don't give up. I mean, I've admired you and the fight that you've done with him, and you just amazed me many times that I thought you probably should have at a fault of mine, but you didn't. You stuck right in there, and I really commend you for that.
That was God. Literally, when I would listen and pray about what to do, like, God, should I just, walk away? God, should I? Because he just wouldn't let me. I never really wanted to, but there was always this is what you have to do.
Sure.
Like, anytime he got bailed out, like, there were times he got bailed out that it was, like his dad was like, do it, or, like, and when I would listen to my gut, like the thing, because there were every time he went to jail, he didn't get bailed out, and
Right.
there were different things, but like when I truly listened, and I would always, in the early days, it was my gut, but I just know it was just being led by the Spirit, like when I was led.
And Cole, do you, where do you, or how do you think your situation that you've been through shaped you into the man you are today?
I mean, it makes you a lot tougher. That's for sure. I just, you can see the other side of things. The world's not as, even with everything going on that you see on the news and that you see, it's not, even if you're not witnessing it firsthand, there's a darker side of this that's going on 24/7 that you have no idea about. And just knowing how close you are to it, and not even, it could be right next door and you never know. So it just makes you have a newer or more grateful for being able to stand on both sides of it.
So would you change anything?
Nope. There's a couple of times I probably would have went right when I went left.
Because you just legit take all accountability and know that you walked through all of that hellfire because this is where you need to be.
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate that about this story, and I feel like, some parents, it might give them hope to go, if I can just hang on, if I can just push a little harder, if I can just do this, that they're going to walk through this and it be, be like this on the other end. Is there anything you guys want to add at all?
I would say again, just don't give up. Don't give up. Follow our podcast when it comes out. And don't be afraid to reach out for help if you're somebody that needs help.
Right.
So, do you have anything else?
No, Cole, we're so proud of you. And I do feel like it's probably important to say that Cole didn't just get out of this scot-free, right?
No.
He did a year in rehab for sure.
That was the longest year of our lives. I can't imagine you.
It was long.
The long year, he's had fines after fines after fines as he's had to pay and still paying on. So a lot of that money he's working to earn now is just going back to pay all of his fines. But he's doing it.
He is.
He is doing it. And he spent a lot of time on some house arrest and some things like that. So he's still paying. He's still got consequences. He's still working on himself. He's still in recovery. And we are just so proud of you. I can't believe that we're sitting here having this conversation.
Oh, yeah. If you would have told me this a few years ago, I would have never believed you. Because there was just so many times like, Lord have mercy, that boy's so stubborn, he's not going to ever learn. It took God. That was the only.
Yeah.
That was the only way to.
Well, nobody else gonna make him do nothing. That's for sure.
We all said that. We all said no matter what Christy does or no matter what any of us do, it's not gonna matter. God's just eventually he's gonna pierce him and get through, and he did.
That's great.
So answered prayers.
I can still look at him and see the black tux with the tails and the rockin' mullet when he was about 3 or 4 years old. I still remember that.
Hair don't grow like that no more. It falls out now.
Do we need to add on here that he's single? Should we say that on the podcast?
Do we need to put his number?
Oh, God.
Wait, I'll pre-screen.
Yeah, we'll call Christy.
If you're sane, I don't want you.
He likes the crazy ones.
No.
That's a whole nother podcast.
That's a
They'll
whole
talk
nother
about
podcast.
that and hope.
We'll talk about that. No. Maybe it'll be The Bachelor. Like The Bachelor, we'll do an episode of The Bachelor, or like
the Redneck Bachelor.
Yeah, the Redneck Bachelor.
We love you.
Yeah. Well, that'll absolutely do it for this podcast, and we thank everybody so much for joining us. We thank y'all for being here. And
I got one more thing.
Take off.
If you're coming out of addiction and you're in recovery and you got a dream, chase it. You don't have anything anyway. What do you got to lose?
I like that.
There you go. Words of wisdom from Mr. Colton. And we hope that you learned a lot from Cole and Christy, and we thank y'all for being here. And we'll keep everybody posted on the Holding Hope and Hope and Recovery. If you need any of that, look us up at Hope Church. We'll make sure and do that for you. Our next episode after this one, we'll be talking some book stuff on our Be Like Berl books, we want to remind everybody that you can get the books by logging on to burlsqueever.com. Click the purchase link up top. We'll be doing a deep dive onto the new book we're very happy about. And then we'll be just talking about this year and what's to come. We'll actually have an episode with our producer.
Oh, a special guest.
Yeah, we'll have a special guest. So everybody, at the end of the day, I want to say a quick prayer. Somebody had asked me to do this. So if y'all would, bow with me for just a second. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this opportunity to come together and for Cole to be able to tell his story and for Christy to tell hers as well. And Lord, we pray that there's somebody out there that listens to this podcast, at least one, Lord, that hears the story and knows that there's hope, and they can find that hope in you, and they can find their way to a better tomorrow. And we thank you so much, Lord, again, for all that you do for us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Everybody, remember to stay safe, be like Berl, follow Jesus, and God bless.